from this place of freedom, how do I choose out of this buffet? I feel lost in that I can't find the one thing that's right for me.
Well, fortunately, from wherever you are, you don't have access to the whole buffet. You only have access to the stuff that's pretty close to where you are. So you just eat your way up the line.
I've done a lot of that. I've done a lot of different things. And I've found myself in a place where there's a lot of things that are appealing to me, and I don't know how to choose one.
Well, here's the most important thing. Back to our food analogy, which seems to be all of our favorite. If you were eating a wonderful meal in a wonderful restaurant and really enjoying it, you would not be tempted to complain about not being able to be over there eating that meal and over there eating that meal and over there eating that meal, because where you are is satisfying you for now. And so you're right, there are infinite choices, but many of the choices that are available to you would be satisfying, and some more satisfying than others. And so the key is just to slow down in an attitude of, hey, I got a whole lot of time to explore and discover this, and anyway, the whole point of my life is to explore and to discover and to find joy. When you have the attitude that I have to make a difference, and I have to figure it out, and I have to find my calling, and I have to do my service, and I have to get it done, and I have to get it done right, then we would understand that sort of frenzy of scrambling around and trying to get it all figured out. But when you understand that it's just all there for your pleasure, and you can just take the pleasure as it comes, then you can relax more and savor and be more discerning about which thoughts feel better. And the most important thing we want to say to you is, please let it be about thought for a while, not action. Let it be about the ideas that feel best to you. In other words, start broad if you want to. Do I want my own business? Do I want to be self-employed? Do I want to dovetail with another who already has something going on? Which appeals to you more?
Self-employed.
I like the idea of being self-employed. Do I want to make a big difference in the world? Do I want to satisfy my financial experience? Do I want my life's work to revolve around the work that brings me money? Or do I want the work that brings me money just to bring me money while I'll do other things of a hobby nature or of a philanthropic nature? In other words, how do I see my work? What feels best when I think about the choices?
I like to make an impact.
Do I want to find something that the whole world will embrace? Or do I just want to find a niche that works for me and let law of attraction bring those people to me who are a vibrational match to who I am? Do I want to reach out in a broad way, or do I just want to be so clearly who I am that law of attraction brings them to me?
I like that. Well, this the idea of a small niche where I can impact those that do come to me. I don't have to change the world. Because the world doesn't need changing. So now give us a little more. We can feel the momentum of the clarity within you moving. So now what? I coach. I think I'd like to expand that business. Because? It feels good. So what part of coaching appeals to you the most? When I can allow that which flows through me and communicate that to somebody whereby they can start to change their lives for the better. So the part that feels best to me is seeing people become self-empowered, see them getting hold of something and actually getting their own sea legs and moving forward. Now, can you feel that as we're chatting here, how delicious this conversation is feeling and sounding? In other words, you have pleasured yourself only with thought. You haven't been counseling anybody. You haven't been making any money. You haven't been doing anything tangible. You've just been going with the flow. And we could feel how good it felt to you and how easily you went there, because your life's caused you to launch lots of rockets. So that's a strong call that's calling you. And when you got in the direction of that movement, of that energy, you felt the comfort and the relief and the soothing and the deliciousness of it, you see. That
is the work. Just to guide your thoughts in the direction of what's pleasant when you ponder it. In other words, let's think about food. Let's think about, Jerry and Esther had chocolate chip mint ice cream.
Happens to be my favorite.
Esther thought she would die. It reminded her of something that she had when she was a child. She remembered the street she stood on as she ate it. She remembered that it was Snell Grove's ice cream. She remembered it brought back so much memory, and long after she ate the ice cream, she took pleasure from the thought of the ice cream. Just for the sake of feeling pleasure. Not for the sake of serving the masses, not for the sake of ending the war in Iraq, not for the sake of stopping famine or poverty, just for the sake of finding something to use as her excuse to go with the flow. This book they've been reading, The Slow Down Diet, and it talks about breathing and savoring and enjoying. And as they've been reading it and doing their best to practice as they're eating, Esther has discovered a new level of flavor enhancement in food. The other day she said to Jerry, I didn't know that this had a flavor. Esther has been a scarfer. Esther has been eating because she is supposed to eat and eating because she is hungry, but not eating for the pleasure of everything that is within the food that she is eating. And we want you to slow down and savor the air. Do you know how good it feels to draw the life-giving air into your body? Do you know how good that can feel? Do you know how good it feels to savor something on your tongue, or to savor a thought that is pleasant? Do you know how much you can milk a compliment, one you received or one you gave? Do you know how long a funny joke can please you as you remind yourself of it over and over again and imagine the faces of the people you told it to, remembering how that one laughed so much he snorted his drink up his nose? In other words, do you know how much pleasure you can take from your thoughts? And so when you find a thought that gives you a little pleasure, milk it for more, milk it for more, milk it for more. Let your now carry you in the stream. You don't have to be over there and over there and over there. There's plenty right here and now to determine the direction of your stream. And that's all you got to do. Just determine the direction of your stream. The greater current will take care of fulfilling your life's purpose and for doing what you came for and uplifting the world and putting all of the money that you could ever spend in your pocket. In other words, the greater energy stream will take care of all of those details. You just have one thing to do. Position yourself from where you are in the stream, which means I am where I am, or I shouldn't be here. I've been here too long. I don't like being here. It's my mother's fault. I must have been bad in a past life. I am where I am. I am where I am, and where I am is all right. And it gets better and better, and all is well with me. And I am with where I am, and all is well. And then off you go again. Because the stream is. It never stops flowing. If you didn't think one thought after you got here, all the thoughts you thought before you got here would give you a really good ride. But you didn't just want an undirected ride. You wanted to fill the stream with energy. You wanted to give the stream momentum. You wanted to choose the direction of the stream, in other words. You wanted in on it and are, and cannot help but be in on it. Really good.
Thank you, Abraham.
Not only can you be or do or have anything that you choose, you were born to choose. And not only can you be or do or have anything that you choose, there are no limits to that. There is no competition. There is nothing that someone else can receive that can anyway detract from your receiving, because the universe is yielding to you, to you, to you, to you. You are an extension of Source, and you have caused Source to expand, and Source stands in that expanded place because of you and offers the signal of that expansion with relentless energy and never stops offering that signal to you. Talk about a flow. Oh, what a current. What a current. And friends, we are so impressed in your mass consciousness and individual ability to buck that current. It's quite impressive. You've been at it a while, but we're here to beg you. No, that's not right. Encourage you to give up the struggle. Jerry and Esther had the glorious experience of going whitewater rafting on a Colorado River that had quite a flow. And it occurred to them that when they set their rubber raft, there were 6 of them and a very knowledgeable guide. When they set their raft into the water, it became absolutely obvious that that river was going to take them where it wanted to take them. In other words, there were 6 of them, and they were strong and they were focused, but they could not have paddled upstream for very long. They just relaxed into that right away and put all of their efforts toward guiding their raft to the best advantage in the river, which was really fun. It never occurred to them to buck that flow. Now, if they had gotten into a really slow moving river, one that was very slowly moving downstream, we can understand their temptation. All right, guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, let's move up the stream. And what we're saying to you is, as life causes you to know what you don't want, which causes you to know what you do want, your stream gets moving faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. In other words, the longer you live and the more focused you are, the faster that stream is. And here's the thing that we want so much for you to hear from us. There's no counter stream. There was not a stream pulling them this way and a stream pulling them this way. And there isn't true with you either. When it feels to you that things are hard in your experience, all it is speaking to is your learned resistance to your natural stream. Do you get what we mean by that? The harder things feel, the more it means life has caused you to want something. When you really, 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 really feel strong negative emotion, you know what that means? That means you really, 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 really want something, and you've wanted it for a long time, and you've got source energy working with you, and you've got a huge current that is going. And when you allow yourself to go with that current that your life has caused you to carve out, you feel wonderful. But when you stand in obstinate opposition to that stream, you feel awful. And so, from our way of looking, we just can hardly believe that you could find any reason whatsoever not to just relax and go with the stream. So you get it that you were source energy before you were in this body. And as source energy, you were consciousness that came here with reason. And you deliberately exposed yourself to variety for the purpose of coming to new conclusions about what you thought life would be. And when you die, you allow your total becoming of all of that. And even before you die, the larger part of you has already become it. And the way you feel lets you know how much of the rest of you are letting become it. But no matter how resistant to well-being you are along the trail of your physical life experience, in the moment of your death, that gap closes. This seminar is about helping you to close the gap while you're still here in your physical body. Because we know that you should receive all of the abundance that your life has caused you to identify that you want. Future generations are benefiting mightily by what this generation or these generations are living and asking for. That's why the children that are born are cable ready.